Hey there, I'm Rayan.
I've got a sneeze.
And I'm Ivan.
And welcome to Just Another Fan Podcast, no sorry. This is episode 26 of It's Just a Game. Hello and welcome to episode 26 of It's Just a Game, the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. And we're back, and we're going to have a lot to say because you are finally here. You are about to listen to the only Traitors UK podcast where we all get raw, unfettered opinions made by the people who've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. Now, if you're a regular, if you're new, if you're not sure what you're here for, this is the podcast where every week we look at the best strategies, the most iconic moments, and the winners and losers from your favourite reality TV shows. This is the week we've been waiting for. The Traitors UK is back, and this week we'll be looking at week 1 on series 2 of the Traitors UK. If you're new here, my name is Rayan. You may remember me as the sound guy you sometimes saw in the background on series 1 of the Traitors.
Not ringing a bell, mate. Sorry. No.
Sorry, mate.
That happens. Joining me is the strategist who has yet to find his card, Ivan. Hello, Ivan. How are you?
Hello. There's a 5-hour delay between me and you. Every time I speak, I have to wait 5 hours for the response. What's that all about, Rayan?
Yeah, something about being on Miami Beach or something. Can you not hear the waves?
I can actually, and it's driving me
jealous.
Crazy. You don't have to have your top off the whole time, though, mate. I mean, come on.
I do that in the UK as well. It's just it's a sexual thing.
Are you inside? Are you sitting inside? Because you don't need to wear sunglasses inside either.
What, do you have to hold that surfboard the entire time?
Yeah. Can you put that surfboard down?
Put it down.
Okay, it's okay. Like, guys, no, I'm sitting down. I'm all calm. Can I get another pina colada, please, though? But no, so that's Ivan joining us here, and also here with me is the traitor who has yet to unwrap his Christmas parting gift. Wilf is here. Hello, Wilf.
Oh, you got me. I meant the intro of this thing. You said we've been there, done it, and got the t-shirt. I didn't get a t-shirt. I didn't even get a cloak.
I got a t-shirt, but then Rayan vomited all over it, so I had to throw it away.
Yeah. And hey, you got a half-eaten biscuit from Claudia, and that could sell for a lot on eBay or some, dodgy websites. So you should thank me for that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Did I go on?
The thank you took a while to come, but it got there.
There's a really long delay. It feels like you may be in a different time zone, Rayan. So
is it actually?
No, not actually. No, just trying to make you feel bad about the podcast.
Oh, did you see his face?
Crestfallen.
No, because I started recording and thinking, oh my god, the delay is great. There's actually not much delay in now.
No, it's fine. You're a little tinny. You're a little tinny, but no more than you.
I'm a little tinny. Yeah,
I'm gonna say it's fine. The delay's fine. Like halfway through the episode.
And I'm Ivan.
Man, you guys are killing me, man.
Let's get into this. This is the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to, and we're going to have a lot to say about the Traitors UK. So let's jump right into it. Now, as always, we're entering a spoiler zone. So if you haven't seen episodes 1, 2, and 3 of the Traitors UK, and you do not want to be spoiled, go away and come back when you're done. If you have seen it, stay right here. Do not move a muscle. And if you don't mind being spoiled, then you can also stay right here. We have our man who's here to summarise everything that's happened, everything you may have missed in the last 3 episodes. Ivan, what's been going on, Ivan? So, Ivan, tell us, what's been going on, Ivan?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Right, are you ready? Here we go. Episode 1. A bunch of people and an owl board a train to go to our favourite Scottish castle. Claudia makes them get in a line just to troll them. Events coordinator Ash, salesman Paul, and Corporal Harry are chosen to be traitors, but they must recruit a 4th tonight. We don't see who they pick, nice touch, but they all arrive to the usual breakfast. The task is a Houdini puzzle build pontoon drag boat explosion, and you can just take shields from plain sight if you want. Kyra, Jazz and Harry steal a shield, and the group win indefinitely, certainly, exactly 40 minutes, no more. Don't ask questions. Zach says an innocuous comment about sleeping easy, and Sonia jumps on it. Then Aubrey confidently tells Ash he knows the traitors already. Episode 2. Veterinary nurse Miles is confirmed as a traitor, and the breakfast parade begins. Cat Daddy Aubrey is murdered for his terrifying spectator eyes. Ross sniffs that Woolly Sonia was stirring the pot last night. Mother Diane thinks Chessman Anthony could be a traitor because he has an ego. Okay, but she's also onto Ash, and that's right, and she says it in front of 2 of the traitors. Uh-oh. The task is a birdwatching call mimicking taxidermy hunt. They win £4,000, and Big Pexy, Andrew, Anthony, and Traitor Paul get a shield. The shield gatherers are immediately banishment targets. At the round table, they attack Anthony for his defensive personality, to which he is defensive. Kyra and Paul criticise Andrew's urgency to get a shield. Traitor Harry tries to push towards Zach's laughing. A bunch of people, led by Ross, go for Sonia's pot stirring, and it's Sonia who's banished. Not a vote of the 22 is for a traitor. Well done, lads. Zach suspects Diane is Paul's mum. Zach is a clever boy. In Traitor's Tower, Harry cleverly wants to go for Johnny to pour more suspicion on Ross, but who do they go for? Well, in episode 3, we find out that it's Kyra who gets sent home. There's a lot of talk about mothers and sons. It's pretty cool. Everyone's getting excited. Tracy does the most generic fortune reading of Anthony ever. I feel like you had a childhood. What, yeah. The task is a scarecrow carry question race into a scarecrow debowel. We find out that Paul is voted the most popular. Zach takes a shield. Jasmine accidentally finds a shield. Brian is branded the biggest sheep and devotes himself to chaos. More on that later. Zach upsets Charlotte by suggesting she's having her last supper, but really everyone's talking about Ash until the round table. When there's a move for Brian because he's changed, man. Jazz's energy has changed. Diane's energy's off. Mega's too quiet. Ash is too loud. Everyone gets a vote. Brian demands that everyone tells him if they think he's a traitor, which is super weird and suspicious, and we know he's faithful. I thought he was a traitor, and he's literally a faithful. Even delivering his vote for Paul, by the way, he's a nervous wreck. 9 people get different votes, but Ash, Brian and Diane get 4 each. They must make speeches, and everyone must re-vote. It's like Survivor. Traitors Paul and Harry turn on Ash. Oh my god, but is it enough? We do not know. It's 6 all, with Anthony left to reveal his vote, and that's the end of a dramatic week of the traitors.
You missed one very, very key thing.
I missed a lot.
No. One key moment. Okay. Anthony fondled a scarecrow.
He did,
touched the crown jewels! And then vociferously denied it.
Just imagine the producers preparing the scarecrows and being like, guys, do we need to put some straw down there? Surely nobody's going to go there. And the psychiatrist is like, no, Anthony will, trust me.
He's like, did you have to put an entirely biologically accurate penis down in every single scarecrow? It doesn't make no. Why did you do that?
The accountants were like, sorry, why did we order 40 dildos? Scarecrows, yeah.
40
fair.
scarecrow dildos as well. May I just say that it's difficult to do updates when there's 22 contestants. I didn't mention all of them, obviously, because some of them we didn't see. But, like, there's a lot of names in there, and even reading it back, I didn't know what I'd written down. So I was just like, who's this guy? So I'm sorry for any confusion there.
It's a crowded house, but we both know that, the house tends to empty itself out quite quickly in the first few episodes.
Yeah.
So we'll get better. Well, let's jump right into this then, our view and our debrief. And I'm going to start with a few general questions. First of all, as I've said, we've been there, done that, almost got a t-shirt. So, we've seen this game. And now, for the first time, really, we're seeing a UK version we haven't played. How have you felt about this cast, this version, everything? Just general impressions of a week back on the Traitors UK. Wilf?
I love it. I'm not going to lie.
It's good, right? It's good to be back.
It's really, really good. And do you know what? I didn't know what to expect, to be completely honest. I just hope it's good, and I hope it levels up on par with ours at least. And I think the first episode for me was quite equal to our first episode. It weren't. It was good, but it weren't for me. It weren't. But I think
it set things up. Nobody's going home.
There's so much to do. There's so much to do in it as well. But the second and third episode, I don't care. I'll probably get slated for this, but I genuinely think the second and third episodes are probably on par or better. Like episode 3 to our episode 3 was like outstanding. Like there's so much happened and so much drama's happening straight away, and I love it. Yeah,
Ivan, would you agree? Because I'm not sure. I would have disagreed until I got to the very end of episode 3.
Yeah, I don't think episode 1 or 2 was anything special, but it did introduce the characters well. Episode 3 is where it starts to get really juicy. My main thing, if you're talking about the cast right now, is there's a lot of really interesting people, and we're not learning about all of them yet, but that's the way we've seen enough series of this now. We understand. If you're a faithful, you get introduced on the episode before you're sent home, or the episode you're sent home. We got to know the traitors, and for me, it's not the best crop of traitors, but they're interesting. But I think the issue was we needed likability, and we're waiting for faithfuls to like. And there are some, you can tell there are some. It's just they're not the ones we're seeing. Especially in the first 2 episodes, I was like, I'm watching them go through the motions, but I'm not necessarily feeling the emotions about those motions. Do you know what I mean?
I get what you mean. I think the premise is really, the whole narrative's been on probably 6 or 7 people, so we haven't really got to see like somebody who made it. Who was it? Molly, who talked about herself and her condition, her disability. Like that was a really nice little insight to her, and I was like, oh, I want to get to know more about her and see her a bit more of her. So there are starting to filter in other people, but ultimately, I think the casts are good. I think there's going to be. I've got some opinions about some of them.
We'll get into it.
That we'll get to that.
Which are a bit controversial compared to what I've been reading everywhere else.
Interesting. I think it's so far it's been very similar to ours in the fact that you establish the traitors. The traitors are the protagonists. They're the main characters. I laugh at how many people on Twitter go, "Is it weird that I'm supporting the traitors?" It's like, no, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. But the only issue with that is you see every other action from the perspective of them. So you either see, oh, the faithfuls are onto us, better kill them, or aren't the faithfuls idiots for not being onto us? And what you don't see is that lovely theory-forming, interesting chats, like looking for kind of ideas and looking for suspicions. You see that, but you only see it from the perspective of the traitors. And while they've, again, there's something fun about the way the edit is trying to get us to guess things this series, which I really like. I hope there's more of that. But still, it's always from like the traitor's perspective. So I that's fine. I just was kind of expecting maybe a bit more of like a faithfuls focus, and we haven't got that so far.
I was hoping for something a bit different this time around, and that obviously it's nice to see it from the traitor's perspective, but it can get quite repetitive. It always ends up becoming, you see the traitors being like, oh, nobody's onto me, and then you see a shot of somebody onto said traitor, and it's just sort of like, it would have been nice to see a bit more of the, the progress in the mind of the faithfuls, a bit more focus on the faithfuls.
But what you've got to think about, though, is I think it's more predominantly focused on the traitors because a few of them are weak and getting looked at straight away. So ultimately, they're going to show the people that are out trying to out the traitors quite early on. Hence, Diane with Harry, and then you've got obviously Ash is now being under a lot of pressure. So I understand why it's sort of taken a traitor-based edit because they're already under a lot of pressure. With us, faithfuls were just banishing each other constantly, so that's why I think it's a bit different. Where the traitors weren't really under suspicion at all till episode 4, 5 or something, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. But I guess that begs the question, the classic question. It's a question that if you've listened to the podcast a lot, you will have heard a lot. And we ask that question at the beginning of every series. First, I want to ask you about the classic, your favourite players. Is there anyone in the first 3 episodes who's really impressed you, who's made you feel like you love them, you want to be best friends with them? Who's your player? Who's your fave so far? Ivan?
Oh, there's people who I'm really enjoying watching. Like value for money, Zach is just producing such amazing moments. All the little digs,
your last supper,
the last supper, the little personal comments.
He's just a bit of a golden retriever, really.
It's so funny. I just love it, and like you can tell he's clever, and you can tell he's just pushing buttons, and he's in there for a good time, not a long time. I would be very surprised if he lasts very long, but it's such fun to watch. In terms of like friends, I don't know. There's a lot of people in there who I think would be really great. Miles seems lovely. I have a lot of similar interests to Evie, who's like, he likes hiking and swimming and all that kind of things. I'm like, oh, this might be someone I'd actually want to hang out with for a bit. Willie?
Can I say 2 or not, or just 1?
You can say 2 because there's a lot of people here.
There's so many people. So sorry, my voice is a bit hoarse. I've been talking so much the last couple of days.
Talking.
Yeah. So
baseless allegations.
Miles, just because he just seems like such a lovely person, the adoption story. He's a veterinary.
He's a good soul.
He just seems like a really, really nice person. But then also, I would like to get to know Paul and just see, because Paul, right? He's not playing this game because I look at him like he's playing this game not to be famous after or anything like that. He's like, I'm going to play this game, I'm going to win, I don't care what anybody thinks. That's what I'm getting at the moment. So I'd like to be friends with him and just get to know what his brain's like.
He is
why he's taken that
fascinating.
thingy. Yeah, he's really interesting.
He's honestly fascinating. Like I would love to chat to him about how it all went down once it's all done, because I feel like you can tell he's incredibly intelligent. He's got a really good idea of game plan, but also in all of his pieces to camera, he does this kind of like funny like he laugh, and that's put on. That is fake. That's not actually how he feels, but he's kind of loving the feeling of being evil, and I just need to break down what's legitimately him and what's him playing a game and what's for TV. And I just need to know.
Well, it's like
I'm trying to feel if he's actually evil or he's just like really enjoying the game. Like, I don't know. There's something going on behind these eyes that scares me.
I feel like really for me, I feel like he's taken away the emotional concept. So when you play Among Us, you don't get emotional and you get like all giggly because you just murdered someone and you run off and you're like, hey! Like that's what he feels like he's doing. Yeah. He's basically playing Among Us in real life without thinking of any emotion. I think he's tried to detach himself from emotion. I just find him incredibly, like, do you know when he came in the breakfast room after murdering and he did this wave to everyone? Oh, and I was just like, it's so funny. I was like, this guy.
It's bordering on sociopathic, but I think it's put on. I think it is an act, but it's incredible to watch. He's cemented himself as the lead traitor, which I think is really interesting, given the fact that Miles there would as easily be a lead traitor as he would. And I think that's going to be a really interesting narrative in this season, is with these two people who could easily lead that group of traitors, maybe without Ash, we'll see about that, who actually cements himself as the lead traitor and who ends up getting backstabbed. It could be either. I cannot wait to find out who.
I agree. I think, like, for me, right, like I was a bit like all of them at some point, but Miles is the one who's going to have the moral battles, which I can't wait to see. When he's dealing with his emotions and his general nice person, he's going to take its toll, which is great. Then you've got Ash. You've got Ash, who's very much like, she's not finding the role very good. She's sort of not playing the role as good as what she probably could have. And then you've got Harry, who's started off under the spotlight, and then he's sort of grown into the role, and he's doing he's doing okay. And then Paul's just like, murder everyone.
Ryan, who do you want to be friends with, mate?
It's a tough one. You know what? Like, I know it's going to be controversial. I'm not sure anyone will agree, but Brian, I just like. This man, like, he is, he's basically me. He's me. Like, the man is a golden retriever puppy. He's me with a B, and he's me in so many ways. Like, he's like, the way he just panicked at everyone's table. Like, I don't know what went on in his brain, just the pressure got to him, and I found this fascinating. And I just wanted to, like, hold him and give him a big hug, and I was like, oh, Brian.
I'm desperate to talk about the whole situation.
We need to.
I'm desperate to. Do we do that now?
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that situation.
Can I just make one funny point then?
Go on.
At the beginning, he goes, he goes, just so you know, I don't actually care that people call me a sheep, right? And then went nuts, and then goes, I want to take control at the start, and then doesn't actually nominate anyone.
Doesn't say it, he just says, I'm going to take control.
He says, I'm going to take control. I'm not a sheep, and I don't care if you called me a sheep. Anyway, next.
Yeah, I feel for him. I think he didn't deserve to be called a sheep, and I've got some personal experience with being personally attacked by your challenge in episode 3 of the Traitors, so I can really relate to that feeling. He's just like, no, he seems like a decent guy who's maybe struggling a little bit with the pressure. He probably would have been fascinating to see as a traitor just for that reason. And I know his days are counted. I'm sure he'll be on his way out very shortly, but I rate him.
Wait, excuse me. Are you going to vote for me?
We're laughing, right? But this happened last season. Aaron said, do you think I'm a traitor, yes or no, at the round table to a variety of people, in the same, trying to get a straw poll of who he thought it was. And Aaron survived. I think Brian could do an Aaron. Honestly, I think he could get through this. I think Ash might go home. I'd prefer for her not to, because I want to see Paul and Harry get their comeuppance for turning on her so early. But anyway, and I think maybe if he does survive this, which it's down to the flip of a coin, so okay, he could just fly under the radar. People are like, mate, you had a bit of a bad time there, didn't you, Brian? You did a Rayan vomit, except it was vomit of words.
And go on, Ryan.
No, he could, Brian could pull an Aaron, which is, code for being carried by pretty privilege for most of the series with a limited contribution.
I think that Anthony, who is the deciding vote,
Yeah.
it might be looking at him and thinking, do you know what? I've been personally attacked for nothing. Like, people have been throwing invisible biscuits at me, right? And he's probably thinking, this guy is a faithful, and he's just been thrown into it for no real reason. And he might get a bit, you might empathise with him and not vote for him and vote for Ash. That might...
Anthony voted Diane in the first round, so he's going to vote Diane again. So it's going to be 6-all. They're going to flip a coin. I'm sure of it.
Or rock, paper, scissors.
Nah, but otherwise, like, look, I really like a lot of the players. They're all like really just like quite awesome. Like, this, like, I want to be friends with Molly. I want to be friends with Charlotte. Like, just like I want to be friends with so many of them. I want to be friends with Brian. I want to be friends with all of them. With Ash. Ash is like, she's actually struggling. I want to be friends with Jazz. Do I want to be friends with Jazz? Actually, I'm not entirely sure.
I want to listen to jazz. I want to listen to smooth jazz. Can we do that for a bit?
Yeah, we could listen to
Jazz. 20 minutes. Get to listen to them.
But no, like, so these are the players we've been impressed by. Now I've got to ask you the question of, before I ask this question, let's not forget, it's just a game. We're watching a very edited version of what happened in that castle, and we're all aware of that. Having said that, I just want to see, is there anyone you've been perhaps least impressed by in that castle? Anyone who you saw and thought, look, you might prove me wrong later, but so far I'm just not really impressed with the trajectory. Let's go for Wilf. Wilf.
I thought I was pointing at Ivan.
We did a whole waving thing.
You're not in the same order on my screen. I was just looking at...
No, it doesn't matter, because Wilf was pointing at me and I was pointing at my own face.
Go on, Ivan, go on.
Okay.
Go on, Ivan.
I would say, I don't think there's anyone disliked on there at all, but I would say that Aubrey probably did the wrong thing by loudly proclaiming, I know exactly who the traitors are on day one. Now, yeah, it's likely that the two people he's sitting with weren't traitors, but I'm probably quite confident he went and said that to other people as well. And maybe if you're a faithful, it's a good idea to pretend you don't know very much so you don't get immediately sent home. And if you do think you know who the traitors are, you should say their names because you're probably wrong. And if you're wrong loudly, the traitors will keep you in. So definitely a bad idea to say, I know who the traitors are and I'm not going to tell you. You will get murdered quickly. So that was bad play.
And I will add to Aubrey. Aubrey's not mine, but when somebody goes on camera and goes, everybody's going to love me, I just switch off. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why. I just find it quite, I don't know, everyone's going to love me. It's like, come on, man. Like, just do it. Like, I don't know. Just switch me off. Anyway, mine is going to be for Tracy. Reason being is I'm so interested, because I haven't seen enough of her, actually, and her being a clairvoyant. So, for me, I hope psychics are real. I think it's magical if they are. I find it brilliant, right?
Fingers crossed.
But listen, and you do have to have a really, really interesting set of skills to be able to have a career in that, and it's not real. Does that make sense? You have to be able to cold read. You have to be able to read people. So she's obviously got a good set of skills. But questions like, do you have a piece of jewelry that means something to you from a loved one? You know, these really easy cold questions. I don't like it. I'm like, I've seen it done before.
Anthony, I'm picking up that you're a very high energy person. It's like, wait, we've been spending about 3 days together.
Wait, I've got, does checkmate come into any of it?
I'm picking up an A at the beginning of your name. Is there an A at the beginning of your...
I'm picking up something. I'm picturing a castle in Scotland in your life. Is there anything like that you've done before?
Have you met Claudia Winkleman?
Anyway, sorry. Like, I want to see more of it and the proof, because I feel every single, apart from the Australian version actually, every single reality show that I've watched that has something to do with finding things out, like The Circle and other ones where they've used clairvoyance, they haven't done well at all. So I'm interested in seeing if it actually materialises into her finding. But she did get bad energy from Ash.
But just the fact she's a clairvoyant, actually, I can see in the way Ash was reacting, like, she couldn't really say anything. She was a bit paralysed by the fact that she had a clairvoyant in front of her. It makes me think she could actually, just by virtue of being clairvoyant, make people make traitors particularly a bit uncomfortable. And that in itself could be a power. I'm not ready to fully discount her powers yet. Even if
I'm not discounting
she's not a great psychic,
I just want to see it.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by it. I think it's magical. Like, I want to see it on TV. I want her to stand up and do a Tom, but get everyone right.
I plead the fifth on this one. I'm not gonna comment on this one. Ryan, who's not tickling your winsels then, mate?
It's hard. I have to say, to be honest, like, I'm just not vibing with Paul. There's just something about him that makes me deeply uncomfortable. And I guess that's why he's a great TV character. He probably needs to be there for a while. But he makes me, like, deeply uncomfortable inside. He triggers my fight or flight response for some reason. I just can't tell you why. If I was in there, I'd be voting him out immediately, because he makes me want to, like, fight or flight. I'm not sure yet.
Interesting that when Brian had his fight or flight response, he also voted for Paul. Maybe what you need to be able to figure out who the real traitors are is have a mental breakdown on TV, and then you see clarity for the first time.
Or be named the sub-declination of Rayan. So next year, Rylan was great.
Rylan's going to get it.
Do you know what really annoyed me about that thing when he voted for Paul? He goes, I'm going to vote for Paul. I wanted to do it in this part, and I'll tell you about it later. It was like, what was that about, bro?
He's going to go home. What if he's got a really good point and then he gets sent home? Brian, have you watched this show before? Come on.
I know.
I know you're having a panic. Just, oh dear.
You got to say when you've got a chance as well, because Claudia will just say the time for talk is over. And if you try to talk later, she was like, silence! This is my
point
classroom.
At her as well? Did he point at her when he was like, I know the talk's going to be over, and pointed?
Hate you.
Did he point at Claudia?
Don't you piss off, Claudia.
Oi, bitch, shut up.
No, not you. Can I bring up a couple of other things as well? And this isn't really about the people, but it's about the way the people, I think, feel they need to behave. So I got super, super bad vibes in episode 1 of Sonia and Harry, because they're both being macho and arrogant and aggressive. Killing and knitting, I love it. And Harry was like, whatever, I'm a soldier, I'm going to pew pew, shoot your raw cowboy. And then actually neither of them are like that. And I really want to get past this idea that people need to behave and act up in a certain way. And you know why? It's so they get picked as traitors. They're all trying to grab the attention of the day one whatever. And I remember feeling like that too, and having to try really hard not to say something like that. And they can do it, that's fine. But also, if they did the entire recruitment process of the show with that kind of personality, only to drop it once half of day one had passed, I think that's insincere. And I really don't want to see that, actually, on TV. You can see through it.
Yeah, you know who Harry actually, Harry maybe also wasn't a fan of. He was really giving strong, football lad vibes in a way. And you know who he reminded me of? He really reminded me of Sam from Series 2 of the Traitors Australia. This sort of, very strong bravado, and this sort of, I'm better than all of you at this game, I'll beat you all. And in a way, Sam actually was. So, that wasn't entirely misplaced. But it was just making for, a slightly uncomfortable watch. You couldn't root for him because he clearly loved himself a bit too much in that.
I'm going to protect him right now, right? So, I feel
Are you going to lick your lips?
No. Oh God, no. So basically, when I went through the recruitment process too, and I was very much like, I want to manipulate people, I want to do this and do this, and I felt like that at day one. I was like, oh my God, I can do this. I can be a puppet master. I can do this. And then when push comes to shove, it's like, actually, this is really hard. It's not as easy as what I thought. So maybe he did think, actually, this is going to be really easy. And then as soon as he started getting the finger pointing at him quite early on, he thought, do you know what? I need to sit back, man, and just be quiet for a bit. That's what I've noticed. I think
if he can rein it in, he'll be a really good traitor and will be quite entertaining to watch. I think he just needs to bring the bravado wand down a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's Traitors. Well, we've touched on this, but generally
that's the Traitors.
That's the Traitors. Thank you so much for coming. See you next week. No, but look. That's the Traitors, and really we've sort of touched on this, but now I want to get back on that traitor selection. Claudia has selected the Traitors have selected one of them. We end up with 4 traitors here: Harry, Paul, Ash and Miles. How did you feel about that selection? I mean, Ivan, you mentioned you weren't necessarily a massive fan in terms of skills, perhaps. Do we think these traitors have it in them to go to the end? Do we think one of them got a chance at winning, really?
Yeah, I think the Traitors will win this season. I think you've got... unfortunately, I do think Ash will go. And I think the other 3 will probably last for quite a long time. I can imagine them being 3 of the final 6.
That's a big number.
We will see. Maybe not. Maybe Harry goes earlier, or maybe they get rid of Paul quickly because they both feel threatened by him. I can imagine Miles and Harry working on Paul. Whatever the case, Traitors are winning this season.
I agree, but I feel like Paul will pocket Harry. I think he'll be
Cute.
Like they'll be together, but he'll be in control. I think Paul will take more control, and Harry will work with him. But I also think the traitor who wins might not even have been picked yet. I do believe that as well. That could be a thing.
I can foresee a fair bit of backstabbing on the way for that exact reason. I can see that, like, realistically, I think the two big sort of characters / egos in the Traitors right now are Paul and Harry. And for me, that means inevitably, at the end of the day, one of them's going to go against the other. Sooner or later, they're going to start backstabbing each other, throwing each other into the bus until one of them gets banished. So I can see both of them making it to the final. Miles, I think, has got a chance, but realistically, yeah. It feels like it might be the case that, you know, somebody gets recruited at some point along the way and they make it to the final.
I think it's a shame that Diane's been under the microscope so much so far, because she'd be an excellent traitor.
Yeah.
I think other people who've just been super quiet, like Evie, could be quite a good traitor. And yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few. I think. Actually, I think Tracy would be hilarious because she's a clairvoyant, so everyone would be like, well, you've been put in so you can figure out who the traitors are, right? So she was just like, oh yeah, I keep getting it wrong, and having to justify getting it wrong every week, knowing that she actually was trying to get it wrong.
I'm in the same boat with you with Diane. I don't know. I feel like I call her Diana Ross because her son's called Ross, right? So Diana Ross.
Do you actually call her that?
That's what I call her, Diana Ross.
How often do you call her that, to be honest?
I've called her about 5 times, 6 times today.
To her face or behind her back?
No, I haven't spoken to her yet. But
okay.
No, Diane, I think she's the season's most likeable character because she's so entertaining to watch. And I would be gutted if she goes in the next couple of episodes. I want to see more of her accusing people, going down rabbit holes and just going on one. And you know what? Everybody stopped hugging because she said, we don't have to hug everyone.
Yeah.
And then now no one hugs. It's
also
brilliant.
She's the Twitter-appointed mother, so if she gets voted out, Twitter's just going to implode. Like, they'll be bereft. They won't be able to pick another one. Well, they'll try, but it's.
They'll find. They'll find some middle-aged lady.
Elon Musk made it implode by itself.
Oh, good one.
Diane.
She's just going to put the death knell in. Yeah, no, I think she's doing bloody well.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, though, she's sort of like this year's Maddie in that she's incredibly lovely and you want to love her, but sometimes you're just looking at the screen like, where did that suspicion come from? You have no reason whatsoever for that suspicion. Like, there's no reasoning. Sometimes she's making the right choice, sometimes it's just vibes.
Yeah. And if you accuse enough people in a hilarious way, then people are going to watch and go, oh, wow, you got it right every time. And then you watch it back and go, oh, 33% of the time.
Yeah. But that's something we are touching on then, the Faithfuls now. We've talked about the Traitors. I want to talk about the Faithfuls gameplay. So far we're seeing a lot of the same mistakes we've made, and it's quite reasonable, you know, it's really early on to make educated guesses. But we're seeing a lot of mistakes of just decisions being made based on, for example, the missions, which really proves nothing. You know, you've got Harry who says that, you know, like, he wants to prove that he's a team player because I watch her as a faithful, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. You've got people... Ross accusing Sonia because she stirred the pot, as if that would automatically make you a traitor. How have you read this? You know, let's ask the man who was never really faithful, Wilf.
So I've got a quote, and it's not word for word. So it's this: when you're around the round table in episode 2, somebody goes, "I didn't have anything going on I'm going to have to make a decision from what I've heard," which basically means herd mentality. Like. That's what really, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. Herd mentality. Everyone's just going to go for whoever they hear. They're going to keep quiet until somebody accuses. But then in episode 3, nobody really did that. Everyone was just like, do you know what? I'm going for my own opinions. And I really like that. It really impressed me that the Faithfuls were like, do you know what? I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to sort of just go for the people that I think could be a traitor. And I was quite impressed. And they've got one, realistically. If Ash leaves, they've already got one, which is better than what we did. Well, better than what you lot did.
I'm not sure whether that's a result of strategy or sort of luck at this stage, to be honest. I think some people thought through Ash, but not necessarily that many people in the crowd.
Can we also dispel the idea that herd mentality is a bad strategy? Yeah.
It's a great strategy.
It's how you survive.
It's morally not very strong, but it's a great strategy because with herd mentality, you get rid of that person. Whether they were traitor or faithful, they're not going to come after you because they're not in the game anymore. Whereas if you go for the person you dislike, then you may look like an absolute mad person, and that could be quite good too. But also, there's a chance they're a traitor, or if they're not a traitor, are faithful, and they'll think you're a traitor. So really, having your own ideas, especially early in the season when they'll just replace any traitors they lose, is just a waste of time. Keep your head down.
I think this early on in the game, it's about not being the one to plant the seeds, but to water them. Does that make sense? Like, grow the idea. Don't actually put the idea there.
That's what Sonia was trying to do.
You want to drop tiny crumbs, from the kitchen to the traitor's tower. Just tiny crumbs that make up an invisible biscuit, in a way, one might say.
I preferred the bar to the kitchen, by the way. I like
the kitchen.
They've taken it all out and put marble worktops in.
Is the bar gone? I've not even noticed.
No, the bar's there.
No, the bar's not there.
Yes, it is.
Think hard. That room, the kitchen room, is the bar.
No. I swear to God, there is still a bar. I've seen it in the first episode because I remember that they've put a tiger on top of the bar as well. Another tiger.
You're right. Hashtag there's the bar. Hashtag we
there's
are
the bar.
Hashtag
it is really
bar.
low as it happens.
All right, fine. Okay. Fine.
We're not
there is
out, Ivan.
I just
intelligent person, one of the most intelligent persons that I've ever met in my life.
Couldn't remember the bloody
They've
tiger
got rid
on
of
the bar.
There's no bar. To be fair, I was looking at my phone the whole time trying to write those bloody synopses.
There is a bar. I really like the kitchen. I mean, as long as they can cook stuff in there. I mean, there seems to be a working hob and all that stuff, but the health and safety team sign off on it.
Oh, no, it's a boiling water tap. Love that.
There is. But can you imagine actually how happy we would have been in this game? How much better we would have fared if we could just go into the kitchen and just whip up some pasta bolognese at 11 p.m. just before the traitors stop murdering?
Some bolognese?
Yeah, bolognese.
Lovely.
And some lasagna, a bit of lasagna.
Some lasagna.
Missed the point there.
Yeah, some cacchio pipi.
Oh, Pepe. Where is the kitchen then? In the layout? Let's do a little head layout. I remember everything else.
I suspect it is behind the bar.
Based
on the colour of the walls.
Where the armoury was.
Well, the armoury was, yeah. There's a door there that presumably will have been removed by now.
Yeah, and there's no windows. There's no windows.
Or it could be the room. If you're walking, you've got the breakfast room on your left, then the library, then the bar. Ahead of you, that door there.
Yeah, we never went in that door, did we?
No, there was nothing in that room. That's where the ghosts lived, and that could now be where the kitchen is.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of fun layout. You can find the architecture plans on It's Just a Game.co.uk.
You can follow along at home, print it out, and draw a red line.
But yeah, no, Faithfuls aren't doing okay. The Faithfuls are doing some of the same mistakes, but some of them are on the right track. And I guess in a way it's a good thing, actually, I was going to say, because they've started with 4 traitors, which in a game that's already quite heavily skewed towards traitor, really skews the game further in favour of the traitors. So if they can find one of the 4 really early on and sort of rebalance the game to have 3 traitors by the end of the 3rd episode, it would be quite good in my opinion.
Is 4 traitors more an advantage than 3? I mean, they'll turn on each other quicker, and there's more to get. There's more chance you'll get one.
Yeah.
No, mathematically, it's still better slightly, isn't it? Yes.
But do you think the change in the missions with the shields has made them think actually 4 will be okay because traitors might take shields and then people whoever takes shields, especially early on in the stage, this sort of stage, are looked at as either greedy if you're greedy or you're a traitor trying to cover your tracks. So I compare it to, when we put Ivan, Alex and John on trial and Ivan said one of them's a traitor. That's how I felt as soon as I seen a traitor take it. I was like, that's what would have gone on in my mind. At least
I'm
one
not
traitor take it.
I'm not sure I agree you can read anything into who goes for the shields or not, because there will be 2 strategies. There'll be some faithfuls who are afraid, and there'll be some traitors who are just trying to show that they go for the shields, so they must be a scared faithful. And I think you can't really tell them apart. I generally don't think you can read anything into picking the shields.
But when you're in the game, you have nothing else to go on a lot of the time, so you go on little tiny.
Well, you certainly have more than who went for the shield or not. I mean, Ivan, you can tell me if you agree, but I generally cannot think you can read anything into picking the shields or not.
No, I mean, traitors have been going for the shields, but not so much that you can always tell there's always going to be one of them. I think it's a very opportunistic thing. It's really interesting. I don't think it is a huge advantage, really, especially early on in the game when being murdered is quite unlikely. The only reason to go for one is if you feel like you are a murder target. But then you've got to go for one every day, and then you also, I really like it, actually. I think it's a really good twist. I think it's so much more. It's not just like, oh, win the task and you might win a shield, but like actively hurt the task and you might win a shield. So
imagine if Chris from Survivor was on here.
Somehow managed to get all the shields and all the money. He did so well. I have to say that while I don't think it's a tool to find the traitors, which they sorely need, I do think it's just going to keep on sowing discontent, and it's going to keep on sowing suspicion. So in a way, it's good for TV.
And I love it because it did create, drama quite early on, create some tensions. I forget who kept Kyra. He kept going for the shield straight away at the beginning of the first mission, and then had the audacity of telling somebody off for going for the shield. In the second mission, she was like, "Oh, Holiday, you should go for the shield." It was just like, yeah.
Can I just applaud Paul's gameplay for the shield, the shield part where Andrew said, "Oh no, let's forget about the shield," and then all of a sudden, as soon as he said it, Paul's like, Yeah. And then after, he's like, yeah, he wanted to go for the shield. Like, I was just part of it. I love that. I think that was great gameplay by him.
Yeah, it's been, but yeah, the shield's been interesting. And actually, on that topic, should we just briefly touch on the missions? I know the missions aren't the viewer's favourite part of the Traitors, but obviously, we'll have a slightly different view of them, especially you, Wilf, having done 12 of them, because you and we all appreciate it. This is a massive break from the game. It's like almost needed for the player from a welfare point of view. And what was really missing was a stake. And now they've introduced these shields in the missions, which adds some stake to it. But really, the stake isn't that high early on, because at this stage, the shields do not make a massive difference. As Ivan said, just too many people for it to make that big a difference. So, how do we feel about first that change to the missions and the fact that now the missions do have some stake? And then how do we feel about the free missions? You know, that sort of giant fire on the lake, that bird call to be recognised, and that third challenge, the content of which I forgot.
I have an opinion as a player and as a viewer. I know. Sorry, I shouldn't have one. But I think as a player, I don't like it because I keep thinking, do you know what? That was my escape of being a traitor. It was just like, we all work as a team, have some fun doing it and try to raise some money, and whoever wins it at the end wins it, right? Yeah. But then as a viewer, they are more entertaining at times than the ones that we previously did at the beginning anyway. I feel like these ones are quite entertaining. Mate, running around going, and then they go, ooh, what bird's that? I find it hilarious.
There's so much running. I'd be vomiting every day.
Jazz was amazing at it.
Funniest thing about it was, I was like, oh, it's a puffin. I was literally like, because I recognised a lot of bird noises. I was talking to Annabelle about this from Traitors US, Australia. She was the same. She's like, well, I knew it was a puffin, so I wouldn't be having to press the buttons. But like, it's definitely this. This is a puffin. It sounds like a puffin.
What sound does it make?
To think Ivan, instead of recognising birds, you were just pulling a bunch of strings in some stupid church to recreate melodies.
And then what does a parrot make? Wait, if it's in the Traitors Castle, it goes, and just one thing. Just one more thing.
And one more thing.
And one more thing. I love it though. It's like, and guess what? Something else has happened. Whenever she finishes a sentence, I'm like, is that it? Is that it? Or is there something else?
Claudia, sorry, Claudia. I know that sorry, is there one more thing?
But you know what? I love Claudia. She is just, like, she is the moment. She's just, like, you can tell as well, she's still very nice to the players. Like, she has to play the school character, but you can tell that deep down she actually really loves them and gets involved, especially in the missions. There's just something about her. She's just, like, the perfect person for this show.
And after one episode, she's already created a meme by going, "It's you." Have you seen the best one? It's like, what comes after S? It's you. I love it, man. It's so brilliant.
Well, it's after T, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not after S. I think T comes after S.
Mate, I'm sorry. There's 22 contestants and 26 letters. Just give me a chance.
How about like, what's another word for the animal that Brian is? It's you.
I don't have this one. I don't get it.
You, sheep, you. It's a you. It's a female sheep. It's a you. It's a you.
I pretended to laugh.
I don't know my animals.
Sorry. Hello.
Know that.
Hi, guys. Hi. Ram you. Ram you. Remember that bit from Babe?
You're just saying sounds now.
bar, ram, you. Ram is a male sheep. You is a female sheep. Sorry, you are a female sheep. Little joke for the grammar nerds out there. You is a...
You're such a geek.
Just a message to the Only Connect casting team. Can you guys come and pick Ivan back up now? I think we're done with him. Such a nerd. But anyway, that's the challenges then. And another big... Let me restart that sort of transition because I was shit.
Start the whole podcast again, please, mate.
No, but the challenges were good fun at the end of the day.
Wait, which contestant am I? I'm you.
It's you!
Look, at the end of the day, the contestants were good fun. And two of them were particularly good fun in episode 3 because we discover there's a secret relationship. There's a mother and a daughter in that castle. No, there's a mother and a son in that castle.
That's what you've been watching, bro.
Yeah, I'm watching the Traitors After Dark, so it's a different edit.
Christ.
There's a mother and a son in that castle. And that is, very reminiscent of a pink-haired couple you might remember from Series 1. That, again, secret relationship going into the castle. How, what did you make of it? For starters, do you think they're going to manage to keep the secret for as long as they aim to, or will they crack at breakfast in the morning of day 4 like the rest of us did?
I think Ross is going to stand up and say, she's not a traitor, she's my mother.
She's not a traitor, she's my girlfriend. No. Oh, shit.
And Tracy's my clairvoyant, and she said the traitors are you and you.
They were so good. That great bit when Ross was like, my mum's shit at making roasts. And then she's like, well, you should come to my house. And it was great. It was so camp. I love it. Oh, they're great, aren't they?
They're good. They're really good.
Well done to Zach. Zach somehow worked out that Diane was someone's mum, got the wrong person, but managed to work out she was someone's mum, which is just amazing.
It's really good. I'm very excited to see how far this goes, but I can't see it going that far, because sooner or later there's going to be a situation where he needs to go against his mom, or the mom needs to go against him. It's quite reminiscent of like that, that mom and that son in Squid Game. Once again, sooner or later, that's going to come to a clash.
Imagine Miles didn't get chosen and it was Diane. That would have been very, very interesting.
That would have been so
and they
funny.
wanted to get rid of Ross at some point. That would have been amazing.
Well, I think
so. She might ever still be recruited.
That's sort of my problem with secret relationships in that show, in that they're secret relationships, so they know each other from before the show, which means that inevitably, because they're both playing as one team, if one of them's a traitor, they will have agreed some sort of secret sign, like Tom and Alex probably did, some secret sign to tell each other, oh, hey, it's me, I'm the traitor now, to help advance their game, which is obviously very much against the rules. We all know the rules about not divulging who's a traitor. And that's why I don't like teams of 2 going into that game, because they actually can play as 2, and if one of them becomes a traitor, then they've got such a strong power in that game.
I think we've also said that the most powerful combination of players is one traitor, one faithful working together. So if you do that within a family pair, you've kind of made a pretty unbeatable bond. So I would probably, because you've basically got someone who's essentially a traitor, since they'll never be murdered at night, but they're also guilt free.
I think next season there'll be 2 brothers that don't actually know they're both they won't know until the day they get there, and they're really competitive and really hate each other or something. Some 2 brothers that are like Cain and Abel, basically.
So what about two long lost brothers and Jerry Springer, and then hopefully Jerry Springer reveals they're brothers.
Yeah, I think we've got strong concepts here, but maybe they need a little bit more work. We'll work on this, Julian, but our lawyers will be in touch.
Can we just have someone doing lunges in their pajamas, please? That feels necessary for the show.
Sure. Any other feedback?
How big is Andrew, by the way?
Oh my god, these arms!
I was like, is he going to explode? He's massive.
I know. When
inflated.
When you see him before bed, like doing his B-roll, where like he films, like they film him lifting weight. At first, he asked production, "Hey, can I lift like Claudio? Like, can I lift 2 traitors?"
You know, people have like goals and they like stick pin-ups on their walls to be like, I want to be like that. He chose a picture of Optimus Prime. I want to have a truck for a chest.
Well, on that note, let's bring this to a close with the ultimate question. Ivan, do you want to ask?
Yes, I do. It's time for our new recurring segment. Who you got? Who's your guy? It's two titles. Who you got's the first one, and who's your guy is the second one. Because what I want to know from each of you, No, they're both working titles because I need 2 predictions from you.
Okay.
1 traitor, 1 faithful.
Okay.
Oh, that's hard.
So 1 traitors that's going to win, that you think might win, and then 1 faithful that might win.
Yes. Because we all know that the global series, there's been more traitors wins than faithful. In fact, I think the only faithful win I've seen is the UK one.
I'm the only traitor that lost. I'm the worst one.
So what I want from you is 1 traitor and 1 faithful. We know the traitors are likely to win because, as we say, UK is the only series where the faithfuls won. But we want a faithful as well and a traitor. You go for it. I'm writing mine down now as well. And... Okay. All right.
Faithful.
Them down.
I'll go first. For traitor, I think Harry. I think he's going to surprise people towards the end.
Okay.
And as a faithful, I think Jazz.
Interesting.
I've got a really good feeling about Jazz.
For Traitor, I'm going to go Miles. I just think he's got it in him to fly on the radar for a while and to make it quite far. He's just going to have to be careful to not fall foul of the betrayals that he might face along the way from the other traitors. Faithfuls, I'm going to go... It has to be someone who's really under the radar at this stage, and I reckon... Let's say... I want to say Charlotte, but she's already getting a bit loud and I'm going to put a target on her back, so let's go Molly.
Okay.
Good choice.
I was also going to go for Miles, but I think it's more fun if I don't. As the winner of the Survivor Series, I'm happy... Survivor Series? That's a wrestling event. The Survivor season. I'm going to go last, and because you picked Miles, I'm going to go against my better judgment and pick Paul as my traitor winner and Charlie as my faithful winner. Here's how it's going to work. Obviously, there could be multiple winners, and also, if it's traitors... Well, we've all picked different traitors, so there could be multiple winners. So, if we all have one of the... Like, let's, for example, say that the faithfuls who win are Jazz, Molly, and Charlie. Have we all won? No. Then we'll go and look who did best of the other. So who got furthest on the traitor side, right? So basically, if it's in any way some sort of a tie, for example, let's say that Paul and Miles win, then we'll look at our faithful pick and see who did the best out of those 2.
Okay.
And for that reason, no more picks this season. No midway picks. No woolly liberal thinking Rayan. We want conservative hardline views on this podcast. So no, we keep our picks from now. So here we have Will goes Harry and Jazz, Ray goes Miles and Molly, and I go Paul and Charlie, and that's it.
Miles and Molly, you better not disappoint. I'm rooting for you so much right now. Please do not disappoint. But that's our predictions then. Shall we be back next week to assess episodes 4, 5, and 6 and see how we're doing with these predictions?
Yes, please.
If you like the podcast, don't forget to follow us on social media. Give us a 5-star review. Put a nice little comment in the comment section. Just do something to manifest your love. My name is Rayan. You cannot follow me, but you can sign my petition to ban licking your lips at the roundtable at change.org.
My name's Will. You can follow me at Where Is the Bar?
I'm Ivan, and unlike... I'm Ivan, and unlike the rest of the UK Season 1 contestants who are now irrelevant, I've been irrelevant for ages!
And from all of us here, it's see you next week and goodbye!
Bye!
Bye!
Thank you, driver!